Доброго дня.
Доброго вечора.
Ми вибачаємося за затримку.
Good evening. Really sorry we were late due to some technical issues. Well, that's my destiny of the candidate. Let's continue our ninth meeting, the third stage of the competition to take part in SAP.
Співбесіди відповідності кандидатів критерії доброчесності.
Correspondence of candidates to the criterion of integrity. Школьний Igor Olegovich is with us. And the composition of the commission: Буджел Андрій, Катерина Коваль, Драго Кос, Євген Соболь, Олена Бусу, Вячеслав Навроцький, and Роман Кубіда. And later, I hope Bogdan Romaniuk will be with us. And if you have some self-recusals or recusals, please name them. If there are not, Igor Olegovich, do you have any recusals? According to that article, I do not have them. Great, thank you. Школьний Igor Olegovich was born in 1990, was not brought to criminal responsibility, was not brought to administrative responsibility connected to corruption, graduated from Taras Shevchenko University and National Prosecutors Academy of Ukraine, master from 2011 to 2013. He was a student of Prosecutors Academy in 2012. 2013 Prosecutor's Office, intern as investigator, after that intern as prosecutor, then prosecutor, 2013-2014 Prosecutor Office of the Podilsky District in the city of Kyiv, prosecutor of the Prosecutor Office, and chief prosecutor, 2014-2015 Prosecutor Office of Solomensky District, chief prosecutor, 2015 Prosecutor's Office in Solomensky District prosecutor, and up till 2020 Prosecutor's Office number 9, and up till now Deputy Head of Kremenchuk Municipal Prosecutor's Office, Deputy Head of the Prosecutor Office. If you have some new additional information, you can tell it now. And your goal to participate in the competition. Yeah, I have some changes. On 6th of April, I was released from the Poltava Regional Prosecutor Office, was moved to Kyiv Municipal Prosecutor's Office, and on 27th of May, I was appointed to the position of the head of Surveillance Department of the Prosecutor Office, and I provide you the copies of the corresponding orders. And also take into account that one of the from the questionnaire of the candidate is my family status and availability of kids. On 20th of March, during the competition, I had my second son. And here it is birth certificate. Congratulations. Thank you. And regarding the goal to participate in this competition, first of all, this position is composed of 3 components. Prosecutor, first of all, that's who am I. I'm a prosecutor, and I hope that in any case, depending on the decision, I will be a prosecutor, as I'm very proud of it. And regarding the position of the manager, I just want to use my experience and what I'm trying to achieve. The position in SAPO. And regarding my motives to participate in the competition, the main motive is I would like to service the society and to get the results. From the society, I mean some positive changes. In this case, anti-corruption activities. And also I'm a son of a public servant of law enforcement agency. And I was brought in the condition when you should service to the society, that is the biggest pride. And in my case, it's a kind of family value. Thank you. And as usual, were you brought to administrative responsibility, or probably you had some rewards? Thank you for your question. Yeah, I had rewards of the prosecutor of the city of Kyiv, few letters of gratitude, one valuable gift upon the results of my work also. I had a few letters of gratitude from other authorities. I mean, bodyguard service, national police, and well, probably that's it from the most important of disciplinary responsibility. While I was being prepared for the competition, I was studying my own file, personal file, and there were no any disciplinary punishments. They just decided do not pay me a bonus. That time, it was 2015. We still had disciplinary charter that time in prosecutor service. And there were a few punishments for minor violations, but I was not brought to any of them during all my service. And also, members of the competition will be interested, I think. And I would like to prevent these questions. Regarding sections of disciplinary commission, there was a number of claims on me, and there were refusals to open disciplinary proceedings on them. But at the same time, as the issue of integrity is being considered and it can be measured in other way, I can inform you that there were two claims from one person about non-allowance of my participation in a trial. And I didn't appear in the court because these cases were not brought into trial, as the case went to another instance. No other serious issues during my 8 years of service. Have you violated the right do not have lawyer activities? You know, in my activities, my position is fair play. I respect lawyers a lot, and I have some personal relations with the opponents in trials. As you know, I like winning only in a fair play. When you are honest and you're honest against your opponent and the ones who are lawyers. And I had no claims on violations of the rights of the lawyers, any kind of them. Thank you very much, Igor Olegovich. And according to our regulations, we are evaluating correspondence of the candidate to the integrity, professional ethics, political neutrality, way of life, correspondence of income to the way of life, and we have some materials of special verifications from NABU, from NAPS, and every time I'm telling that to the candidates as we As we mentioned in the protocol, we also have polygraph research results. And also we have, also the members of the commission have some additional questions, especially according to the publications in media and claims from social society organizations. So my question to you is the following. In media, there is information about you as prosecutor who had proceedings against the participants of mass rally in 2014. I checked really that time you worked in the Podilsky district in the city of Kyiv, and you declared the suspicion to the participants of the protest. Could you please inform us on that? And did you really take part in them? That time you were chief prosecutor of the Podilsky district prosecutor's office, right? Yes, that's right. Probably not chief prosecutor, but yes, you know, my functional duties were the same. Well, I would like to answer this issue broadly, as integrity important in the process of decision taking. It was 2014. Everyone knows what protests are we talking about in the city of Kyiv. In all law enforcement bodies, there were criminal proceedings. On the Article 294 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine, the participation of the mass protests, mass disorder. But at the same time, 2 persons were sent to us without revealing circumstances. They just told they were detained within the Article 208. They didn't take part in mass protests. They were brought to us because of the actions against law enforcement officers, and they had sticks with nails, sticks without nails. Also, they had helmets and flag jackets, probably flag jackets. And taken into consideration, we declared them suspicion on minor violations, hooligan actions. We didn't declare them suspicion for participations in the mass protest. We discussed it. There was an operative meeting. And we qualified our actions in a wrong way. And there was no participation in the mass protests. But at the same time, there were hooligan actions. We informed them suspicion, and as the prosecutor closed it, the person wasn't released from the criminal responsibility and special law on the specified persons and also on the specified circumstances. When we were selecting pretrial measure, it was a disciplinary proceeding. They were not brought to responsibility. On me, there was a mass criminal proceeding. I was interrogated as a witness. Also, my activities were changed by General Prosecutor's Office and also by the corresponding departments of the Ministry of Justice. They were checking my criteria of the prosecutor in these criminal proceedings and on integrity. Also, I would like to bring your attention that when these people were detained, bodily injuries were detected and they would like to inform about violation from the side of law enforcement officer. And after that, the decision to the register of pretrial investigations was made on the law enforcement officers who were sent to the prosecutor office in the city of Kyiv. And you know, it was the earliest criminal proceeding on the fact of unlawful actions towards the participants of mass protests, and all other criminal proceedings were connected to this one, as it is the earliest. And that's why you still can find it in the register of pretrial decisions. And one more interesting fact, I just want to bring your attention to the broad prospect of that situation, of the activities that we did at the moment. That time, 4 people were brought to us. They didn't have any weapons. There was no information on them on the counteractions to law enforcement officers. They were just brought to us as they were at the Institutskaya street where the mass protests were going on. They were minors. And we took a decision not to detain them and do not inform their suspicions. They were just released. I just want to inform without that information that in every case, every my action can be explained, and I can evaluate it on Solomon's justice. First of all, it is legality and objectivity. Surely there is information in the media, but I hope I explained all the circumstances mentioned. You were tested, right? Did they ask you during the attestation, during your interview? In 2015 and in 2021, I was attested. They didn't ask me on that. But one of the members of the commission told about that, and I explained them the situation. And another question from me. I have information that you took part in the occupation of some criminogenic center or something, as we have this information. Could you please explain it? Occupation of ophthalmological center. We have a lot of questions. Also, there are claims from lawyers. There are petitions. But, you know, we would like to start from information from media. I'm pleased to answer all these questions. It's very important for me. That's why I will try to give the fullest answers possible. Yeah, really. I was moved to Kyiv Municipal Prosecutor's Office. I was a prosecutor of the Podilsky District Prosecutor's Office, that is a district prosecutor office in the city of Kyiv. And we received criminal proceedings, Article 5, Part 5, Article 36 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine on objectivity of criminal proceeding. And that's why it was transferred to me. And there were a lot of episodes in this proceeding. Well, probably I won't inform you the all circumstances of it. But at the same time, I can explain the circumstances that were covered by media. The subject of it were few properties owned by a deceased person, and destiny wasn't decided by the will, but there were some unlawful activities. For instance, they were leased based on the forfeited power of attorney. Also, they got payment for these leased properties in the same way. It was a son of the deceased person, and also that property was arrested. At the same time, the fact of arrest didn't help to change the status of the property. And because of that notification, media started writing articles on that. As defendant didn't get any other activities, at the moment, I'm trying to find out what's going on with these criminal proceedings at the moment, as I think this case wasn't completed. One of the defendant got a suspicion to select preventive measure. Also, the circumstances of transferring the property was the subject of questions in the court, but these activities were absolutely lawful. And also, on this notification in media, there is the untruthful information. It was about abuse, about the abuse of power. As far as I know, the head of the prosecutor office was blamed in that violation. And also, I would like to say that I think you will ask this question as well. How did they react to this publication? No, in the interest of the pretrial investigation, when I got the position at that Podilsky district prosecutor office, the decision wasn't taken by me. I think that this decision should be timely. And as an example, I can tell you one case from my practice to let you understand why did I act this way, because not the response itself is important, but the way of your thoughts. So there was a criminal proceeding on delivery of non-quality production to the construction site. And there was a strong resistance with the use of media. I do not blame them, as they're just the projector of the information. And the only one useful thing that we can do is to do our job, to waiting for the results that we can object later.
So there were a lot of discussions in different mass media, in Interfax, in the first channels that we were pressurizing people. But then this information stopped when it was indicated that these products were supplied to one of the kids' camps, and it was a reason of the fire and death of one of the kids who was being there. So then the pressuring on our activities stopped. So I would like to say that it's not always beneficial, it's not always to the advantage to react to all the mass media messages. Sometimes it's better to wait for a better moment. I would like to say that as the suspect was served a notification, so this suspect is trying to avoid the investigation. We have certain complaints. We are filing certain complaints. So any information that I did something wrong, that I violated something, such information is absent. And I hope that I have provided exhaustive explanations about those circumstances. And I have also remembered that I received a notification from the General Inspectorate. I have a copy. So I know about the circumstances. So there was a decision not to open disciplinary proceeding against me, and there were no violations in my actions. Katarina Koval, can you give us this document? Yes. Yes.
Дякую.
Katarina Koval. Thank you, Igor Olegovich. I have a question. Usually, as a lawyer, according to our data, you have passed adaptation course for trainees as a lawyer from the High School of Advocacy of the National Lawyers Association. So you really made an application. Did you pass examinations? Are you passing the adaptation course? So I have to ask. Response. Yes, I will. In the year 18, several times I tried to file documents for qualification disciplinary commissions of the prosecutors to get promoted, to get self-accomplishment. Several times, as a result of interviews, I didn't get enough votes. And in my work, I'm always trying to get self-accomplished, and I'm trying to act. And the only way to go to progress, so I saw it as to continue my work on the opponent's side as a lawyer. That's why I really participated in the examinations, probably in February of 2018, because in the year 19, because in the year 18 I filed my application, and in February 2019 I passed an exam to be a lawyer successfully, and I had work placement. I was a trainee to get a lawyer certificate. Of course, during the interview, one of the conditions was to have an adaptation training. Yes, and I passed this adaptation training by myself. I went to pass lawyer's examination, to coordinate my individual academic plan, to get the lawyer certificate, to defend my work. And I also remember that one of the questions was, how do you see for yourself? How do you look at combining the activities of a prosecutor and a lawyer? And I said that for the entire time of my work, I have always paid attention to the lawyers. I respect lawyers, and in order to get a lawyer certificate, you need a lot of time. My wife is a lawyer, but she doesn't work in the criminal sphere. So my answers satisfied the commission members, and they made a decision to give me a lawyer certificate. I know that there is a court resolution regarding the combination of work. It still needs to be resolved. But right now, I would gladly refuse from my certificate for the right to do lawyer's activities, but there is no such a procedure in place. That's why right now I continue to work as a prosecutor. As you can see, after that, there were some human resource management decisions. So I continue to work as a prosecutor. In May 2020, I was appointed as deputy head of the Kremenchuk local prosecutor's office. And at that place, I decided that I really want to act as a leader. I want to grow as a prosecutor. That's why I decided to participate in this competition. And I would like to say that this is the first competition that I participate, because I have to weigh my decision very well. And even when I was making this decision to participate in this competition, we made a family council. We discussed this in the family because this position it presupposes responsibility of the entire family to be open to the entire society. Katerina Koval, dear colleagues, do you have any questions? Andrei Gujal, have you stopped acting as lawyer? Response, no, I'm not in the register. I left the register. I left my certificate of a lawyer there. Katerina Koval, no, we didn't find you in the register. Response, yes, maybe this is even for one day, but this being a lawyer for one day. Katerina Koval, yes, this is an incompatibility. So in order to take an oath of a lawyer, you need to stop working as a prosecutor. Any other questions, please?
Будь ласка, Драго.
Drago, please.
Thank you. So in your reports, you do not report any car. But if in the social media, you can be seen driving a car or sitting in the car together with your wife. So how can you explain that?
Я, можливо, неправильно зрозумів
Maybe
питання.
I didn't understand the question, but in my declaration, I have a vehicle. There were certain questions about my vehicle. I use it from time to time. It belongs to my mother, and it was in the questionnaire. That's why maybe you can specify the question.
Yeah, what
Or
type
maybe-
of vehicle you're using?
Згідно декларації, поданої мною,
According to the declaration, as a participant, and according to my annual declaration, this is Skoda
шкода Супермен.
Skoda Superma.
Thank you.
Є
No
ще
more questions.
The-
Можна?
Roman Koibida
Будь ласка, Роман чи В'ячеслав Олександрович.
and Mr. Navrotsky. Mr. Navrotsky, tell us please, do you have relatives abroad?
Родичів, в розумінні близьких родичів.
Close relatives? No, I don't have close relatives.
Повідомлю максимально вичерпно.
I will try to give as much details as possible. My father has 3 brothers. They are in Ukraine. My mother's brother and sister are in Ukraine. Yeah, thank you. Another question. Do you have land plots in use or in ownership? No, neither me nor my wife. We don't have any land plots.
Будь ласка, Роман Олексійович.
Please, Roman,
Уточнююче питання.
a specifying question. So, as for the certificate was issued, but you didn't take it. Yes, it was issued. Did you take an oath of a lawyer?
Чесно кажучи, не пам'ятаю.
Frankly speaking, I don't remember. So you don't remember whether you took an oath of a lawyer?
Відповім максимально.
Response, I will try to give details.
Отримані свідоцтва.
When we get a certificate, or when a certificate of a lawyer is issued in my name, I am obliged to sign the oath of a lawyer. So, as far as I remember, the circumstances, I can say that yes, the information that I took an oath of a lawyer, it is present, it is there, because this is the procedure. You can't do otherwise. The second point is that when I was taking the oath, I notified the board members that This is the fight for justice from different sides. So the prosecutor's oath and lawyer's oath, they don't have any contradictive wording. So there is nothing that says that when you take an oath of a lawyer, you betray the oath of a prosecutor. When I was signing this document, I analyzed the regulations because it has to be a conscientious decision and according to my own beliefs. So where did you take the, Katerina Koval, where did you get the certificate? Response, Zakarpattia region. So answering why so far, I have to say that in the year 18, in the end of the year 18, in October of the year 18, I was trying to transfer, but I was not successful to transfer. And in about November of 2018, I filed an application. And the main criterion was the time that takes to take an exam of a lawyer. So in Zakarpattia region, the process was the fastest. The second point, as I believe, that some members of the Qualification and Disciplinary Commission of the prosecutors in Kiev and in Cherkasy and central regions, they were opponents, my opponents, during some of the court cases. So in order to avoid the conflict of interest, I decided to take this examination in Zakarpattia. In Zakarpattia, my wife also was passing her lawyer's examination in Zakarpattia. So during my defense in the year 19, she also, in September 2019, I took a leave from my job. And also another point I would like to say, just in order to give as much details as possible, I am trying to be open as much as possible. Galina Ivanivna, I don't remember her surname, Denteruk was my supervisor in my academic work. Katerina Koval, thank you. Any other questions? Roman? Yes, I have. So did you get the certificate of a lawyer? Response, the lawyer certificate was issued in my name, but I was not entered into the register of lawyers. I didn't file an application to be registered as a lawyer. I didn't have the desire to do this. And the certificate is, in the case, is registered in the Zakarpattia region. So if I were entered into the register, I would become a lawyer. Katerina Koval, I would like to explain. If a lawyer wants to stop his activity, he has to file an application to the bar council, and he has to file his certificate of a lawyer. If the candidate doesn't get the certificate, it is kept in the candidate's file until he comes for it and files an application. And then he has to file an application to include him into the register of lawyers, where we will have work, where we have to work. So a lot of certificates are kept in the files of lawyers while those people work in NABU, in court, as judges, and so on. According to the procedure, Roman, thank you for the explanation. I was asking because the candidate said that he got the certificate. The candidate said that he didn't get. Right, we can watch the video recording. I don't see a problem. I don't see it. Response, no, I didn't take the certificate. But the question was whether it was issued or not. Roman Alexievich was asking whether it was issued in my name. Yes, it was, but I didn't take it. Legally, it was issued, but physically, I didn't take it. Well, there was a simple question, whether you took it or not, whether you obtained it or not. Well, so that's why I wanted to specify, because I wasn't sure. And another question regarding those notifications of suspicion that you approved as a prosecutor. So how many were those? Regarding those mass media claims, the suspicions were in one criminal proceeding about the same circumstance in which two persons were detained and two persons were notified about suspicion. And I also remember the lawyers, I don't want to mention their names, but one of the opponents in the process was a person who later became the head of the Lustration Commission in the Ministry of Justice. So had I done any violations, I would be one of the first persons to be criticized, and there would be certain resolutions to announce me as a person who prosecuted participants of the Revolution of Dignity. So the proceedings were closed by the prosecutor. Did you do it? No, not me. Later, there was a decision to change the prosecutor's team. According to the results of the pre-trial investigation, law enforcement officers were questioned. They refuted those circumstances that somebody limited their activities. At the moment of notification of suspicion, they said one thing. Later, when they were interrogated as witnesses, in some time, well, at that time it was even dangerous to wear a uniform. So they refuted those circumstances when they were denied. So the proceeding was closed by another prosecutor, not me. Question: are those persons victims of criminal case on abuse of power? Response: the decision of the European Court for Human Rights, or according to any other decisions, to declare them as victims, to compensate them. So I'm trying to, there are no such decisions. So there is a criminal, you're talking about court resolution. I'm asking about a criminal proceeding. Is there a criminal proceeding in which those persons are declared as victims because of the abuse of power? No, I don't have such information at all. No, or you don't know? I'm sorry. There is a criminal proceeding which is registered by me when those persons were injured, that there was a probability of abuse of power by law enforcement officers. Article 365, number 20. You can find it in the Register of Court Cases. So this is the first criminal proceeding that appeared regarding the participants of the actions. But as for the officers who were detaining them, there were no decisions on criminal proceedings regarding the law enforcement officers. Do you have a hobby? Yes, I have. Can you tell us about your hobby? Response: well, if you are interested, I listen to music as a hobby. And another point, one of the hobbies, it is probable to say that one of the hobbies is work. There was a saying that if you are doing your favorite job, you will never have to work. So I work until 9 o'clock, until 10 o'clock at my job. I don't want to boast, but I really like my job. I would like to continue. Right now, I participate in in the work in the environmental directions. We are combating environmental crimes. We are creating a new institution, and I'm very interested to be in the foundation of this institution, to take decision which would guide the environmental prosecution in the future. So I would like to get self-accomplished as a prosecutor. If you ask me why I participate in the competition, taking into account the new position, yes, I just want to. So I wanted to try to get self-accomplished as an anti-corruption prosecutor. Roman, do you have family hobbies? Response: well, we have very good relations with my wife. We have 2 kids. Maybe upbringing my kids right now. My younger kid has 3 months. So this is maybe one of my hobbies. Are there any court resolutions where you supported the public prosecution that later were cancelled? Well, those court resolutions can be sent to reconsideration, or they can be cancelled. But there were no cases when persons were declared non-guilty. But some of the court resolutions were cancelled. Yes. Maybe the defense party made appellations, and I reacted to the appellations myself as well. I would like to point your attention that one of the person was brought to responsibility according to Article 190. So this is so the conviction was too small, in my opinion. 5 years of conviction with a probation of 3 years, and I reacted to such a court ruling. I was trying to cancel this court ruling, so I wanted to make a tougher sentence. As for the anti-corruption activities, while in the district prosecutor's office, my materials were used by the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and according to my materials, some suspects were notified about suspicion. So the investigation was continued using my materials to continue their investigations. And I also worked in the Prosecutor General's office. I worked on anti-corruption cases. So in a year, 4 or 5 criminal proceedings were considered as corruption cases. For example, regarding embezzlement of public funds. So if you were any court resolutions cancelled due to the violation of the right to defense where you participated? No. Response: no. I never violated lawyers' rights. I have only one interesting case when there was a petition considered to remove a person according to Article 191, to remove a person from official duties for the time of investigation. The first instance made a decision to satisfy my petition, and then they asked the court to cancel this court decision because the lawyer was convincing the judge that the decision can be taken without participation of the person. So I reacted to this decision because the court violated the right to defense. So I participated in the cancellation of this decision, but then the College of the Appellate Court of the City of Kiev made another decision, and they again satisfied my petition. So this was such a such a strange case that I could remember, but not my not my petitions. Thank you.
Є ще запитання, колеги?
Any other questions, please?
15 хвилин залишилось.
We have 15 minutes. Another technical question from Roman. Do you have access to the state secret?
Це до переліку документів, які я
Response. According to the documents that I provided to the competition, I provided a certificate confirming that I have access to the state secret. Yes, I have. Roman, can commission members check this? Because I don't have it in the electronic form.
Давайте, поки я буду перевіряти, можете запитання, колеги.
Anna Koval, I will check this. While I'm checking, you can ask some other questions if you want.
можу також повідомити, що така
Candidate,
надана
I can say that this certificate
Кременчуцькою
was provided by the Kremenchuk local prosecutor's office. So this access to the state secret was changed because of my change of workplace. So it's always in force. And then it was again confirmed for me as a head of the department in the office of the prosecutor general. Yes, I have given the original document.
Це в тому числі дивно, чому немає.
So this is strange that you don't have it because
Являється по пункту
the list of the documents is checked. So at some point my biography was not received by you, but I removed this. I also resent my biography, but I surely have sent my certificate about the access to the state secret.
Якщо б можна питання.
Question from Mr. Navrotsky. Have your subordinates ever committed disciplinary violations in the prosecutor's office that you have discovered?
я обіймав посаду
Yes, I was working from May 2020,
період діяльності
and for the period during my work in the prosecutor's office, there were no such cases,
можливо могло б бути мені
and also
недолік. Працівниками
maybe this could be seen as a drawback.
іншими правоохоронними
Other law enforcement agencies or Inspectorate General didn't find any of those violations. So it would be strange if I don't see a violation and those violations are later discovered by other agencies or officers. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Хочу відповісти пану Роману.
Katarina Koval. Dear Roman, according to the certificate of the SBU, there is information that Mr. Skolny has access to the state secret. It was issued in Poltava region. We have a certificate from the local prosecutor's office of Poltava region confirming that in Poltava region, SBU provided access to the state secret until December 31st of 2021. So this is the certificate from the candidate. Katarina Koval. No, we have a certificate from the secure SBU. Romanyuk. Roman Koibida. Did the candidate provide the certificate himself? Katarina Koval. Yes, we have it from February of 2021. Yes, of course. Andrei Gujal. Yes, I'm showing this to you. This is the original certificate from the candidate. Roman Koibida. So, well, it wasn't entered into the electronic system. Katarina Koval. Yes, we have the original in the materials. So it is certified by the Prosecutor General's office. Yes, thank you.
Є ще запитання, колеги? Чи можна
Катерина Коваль.
продовжувати?
Do you have any other questions? Do we need to extend the time?
Вирішити будь-які сумніви.
Колеги, немає запитань? Ми можемо перейти до обговорення.
Dear colleagues, can we proceed to the discussion?
Ігор Олегович, я попрошу.
Dear Ігор Олегович, I'm sorry, another question from Roman Koibida.
Якої категорії у вас права?
So, what category driving license do you have? Category B. Thank you.
Прошу вас зачекати, Ігор Олегович.
Dear candidate, please wait outdoors. We need to have a discussion.
Я думаю, що ми переходимо до
Пане
обговорення.
Коваль,
Немає сенсу
so,
голосувати про продовження.
We don't need to vote to extend the time.
Колеги.
Та ні, співбесіду завершено.
Roman, no, we have finished the interview. So let us discuss. Do you have any comments, suggestions?
Нема нікого. Ну, якщо нема нікого, то скажу.
Андрій Гуджал. I will say, I will definitely support the candidate.
Мене кандидат переконав.
The candidate has convinced me. He answered to the questions. As for the mass media publications, I will tell you, if the prosecutor is doing his job, there is always the other side, which is not satisfied with the prosecutor's work. And very often they resort to different publications in different mass media, trying to influence the prosecutor. So the publications, I don't think that, well, we shouldn't say that this is the lack of integrity.
Скажімо так, в мене немає сумнівів в його доброчесності. Питання до кандидата немає. Він нормально відповідав на запитання.
Doubts in his integrity. I liked how he asked the questions.
В нього роботи,
I love that he has work experience and his career path in prosecutor service proves that he can work, that he is able to work. I will support the candidate. I have no questions to him.
Можемо переходити до голосування, колеги?
Can we start voting, colleagues?
Всі втомилися?
Understand that everyone is tired.
Немає більше коментарів?
Одну
Any other comments?
Я трошки так з затримкою, поки мікрофон
Oh, I'm sorry. I was a bit.
не можу підтримати я кандидата.
I cannot support the candidate, and I have a few reasons for that. First, he wasn't very confident on his questions on oath of the lawyer. He is under 2 oaths at the moment. First, he told he doesn't know. After that, he said yes.
Скасованих вироків.
About cancelled sentences, he objected, but there is a cancelled sentence and sent it to you, and it was cancelled due to the violation of the right to protection, and the appeal wasn't given by the prosecutors. And in this process, our candidate was one of the prosecutors. What else?
Якщо відкрити сторінки соцмереж, так, де
If we look at social media,
можна знайти фото кандидата.
we can find photo of our candidate on the motorcycles. Plus plus probably that's his hobby, or maybe not, as very often his wife is taking photos with motorcycles on the bikes. I couldn't see any bike in his declaration. And in the same way, there is photo of him driving a car in 2016, and that car was not declared as well. That's weird as candidate, according to his that doesn't have driving license for a bike.
Тут я закінчу.
That's it.
Я не буду голосувати.
I won't vote for him. Well, that's your right. But I can tell you that, to have photos on a bike and to own a bike, these are two different things. Well, I can make a photo in the airplane. It doesn't mean I'm owning this plane, right?
Піду попрошу, що дайте мені в трамваї
Or
сфотографувати.
if I just went to tramway and will ask a driver to take a photo, it doesn't mean that I'm the owner of tramway. And after that, some other people is asking me, why didn't you declare the tramway in your declaration?
Право на здійснення діяльності
And regarding his oath, he has a right to work as a lawyer, but he has this right only when he's introduced into the register of the lawyers. Before that, he has no right to have lawyer activities.
процесуальний кодекс говорить про те, що право
And we can find it in Criminal Procedure Code, for instance.
після його реєстрації, якщо він відсутній,
Only after registration. If he's not in the register of the lawyers, he has no right to practice law.
він не здійснював жодної дії і
And he haven't done any action as a lawyer. And I have no questions on his integrity according to that.
підтримати кандидата.
And colleagues, I would like to ask you to support the candidates because we do not have many of them left.
Значний досвід роботи,
And this candidate has a lot of experience, and take into consideration
тривалого часу публічне обвинувачення,
that for a long time he was making public prosecution in the court. That is a good reason, as those prosecutors who we are hiring, they should follow
здійснення процесуального керівництва під час досудового
how procedural management is going on during pretrial investigation,
як і публічне обвинувачення підтримувати формування.
and also to support public prosecutions. There should be people who understand what is it.
Закликаю вас, подумайте ще раз,
That's why I'm asking you
що нас просто не залишиться
to think about one more time.
на професійну компетентність.
As you know, on the next stage, we won't have enough candidates to decide their professional competence and what country will get in the results. Everyone will be unsatisfied by the work of the anti-corruption authorities, and they will blame the commission as
Якщо на кандидата пишуть,
we didn't have enough candidates. If we have claims for candidates,
писати не будуть.
of course there are claims because he's working.
Дякую. Будь ласка, Вячеслав Олександрович.
Thank you, Vyacheslav Alexandrovich, please.
Моє зауваження може не
Dear
так
colleagues,
загально аргументів, які
I have a general comment
вживаємо ми під час вирішення питання.
regarding arguments we are naming to support or do not support the candidate. You know,
Конкретного питання про доброчесність чи недоброчесність окремого кандидата.
competition is not about integrity or disintegrity of concrete candidate. And also, on this stage, we do not decide the professional level of the candidates.
Оцінкою доброчесності.
Now we are evaluating just the integrity.
Публікації в засобах масової
Publications in media,
джерелах інших
in other
добре або погано.
online sources, who is bad, who is good, they do not mean anything. We should assess,
Ось
do we believe candidate and his explanations or not? You know that time when he told about sentence one thing, but according to the register, it's completely different. Well, it's not in his favor. And violation of right to protection by the concrete prosecutor or participant of the group of prosecutors.
стримувати і направляти
Probably he should stop his colleagues to correct his colleagues. If one of them violated a rule, it means that the whole group did that. That's what I think on that. Thank you.
Шановні колеги, прошу звернути вас ще раз увагу, що про що
Dear
йде
colleagues, what we are talking about, violation of the right of the right to defense in the court. In the court, the judge is the most important, not the prosecutor, and the judge should provide the rights of the participants of the process.
Під час досудового розслідування, а під час судового розгляду.
It's not the violation of the right to protection. It was during a trial.
Пане Андрію, у нас процес змагальний. І позиція суду.
Andrin, we have a kind of competitions, and the position of a judge is defined by the position of the participants of the court. No, the court should provide that right.
Погоджуюся, але прокуратура у випадку
I agree with you, but
має реагувати.
in this case, prosecution office should react on that, but he said that he did.
Не було
He appealed. No, there was not appeal in this case from prosecutors.
яку ви маєте, так, яку ви читали.
In that case that you read,
Сторони захисту.
defendants provided an appeal, not the prosecutors.
Я, шановні колеги, ще може не на це звернув увагу, а на трохи інше.
Dear colleagues, another argument.
Свої заслуги подав те, що
As his advantage, candidate
вніс в єдиний реєстр судових розслідувань справу про
put
запобігання
into register of pretrial investigation
це масових
harm to the participant of the mass
разом з тим
rallies, but at the same time, regarding other cases,
під час співбесіди, що
he informed during the interview
особи, що до яких проводилося досудове розслідування, давали різні покази.
that people under pretrial investigations, they provided different evidence. It means that some of them was wrong,
Не сказано. В яких випадках
but in which cases when initiative was violated. We do not know the answers to all those questions. You know, I'm not sure that candidate is an active manager of the prosecution office, and that's what he will need to do. He personally doesn't support prosecution in the cases, but he should manage the what his subordinates are doing.
Дякую, колеги.
Thank you, colleagues.
Ну, і погодьтеся, що людина, яка склала присягу,
Please agree with me that someone
що вона її склала, ну,
who took an oath and doesn't remember, did he have an oath? He didn't say that. He said, I signed. He said, I don't know.
що не знаю.
He said, I don't know. But how it's possible to sign an oath and do not know what did you sign?
Стосовно того, подумавши, він сказав, що
And after that, he thought about it and said, but it depends on what do you mean by take an oath. Take an oath when you are publicly declaring, for instance. That is how one person understands it. For another person, an oath is just signing the document. It depends who is saying.
І тут важливо те, що людина жодного дня навіть
And that's important that it's not in the register. He's not in the register. Even in theory, he has no right to practice law till the moment he's in the register of the law. Andriy, if he signed an oath, it means that he's obliged to comply with it. You cannot forget about it, but he can comply it from the moment he starts practicing the law.
дякую. Далі не буду продовжувати дискусію.
Okay, I won't continue this discussion.
Я так само маю.
Thank you, colleagues. I also like to speak up. I was planning to support candidate before that during the interview, and I had no particular questions to him on the questionnaire, but really, you know, if to be consistent, if he under the also the prosecutor took as well also the lawyer, and he understands that he should eliminate it, I do not understand the reasons why he's not in the register of the lawyers, but he told himself that yes, he signed the oath, and today he has this issue of non-correspondence, and I will vote against his correspondence to the criterion of integrity. It will be compliance of candidate with professional ethics.
Можемо переходити до голосування.
Can we start voting?
Чи згодні члени конкурсної комісії з тим, що кандидат
Are you agree that candidate Школьний Ігор Олегович corresponds to the criterion of integrity according to the regulations
посади в спеціалізованій антикорупційній прокуратурі? Прошу
in
голосувати.
SAPO? Please vote.
Голоса за віддали
For Gujal,
Бусел,
Busel, Dragokos, and Mr. Sobol. Against Navrotsky, Koval, and Kubida. Decision is not taken.
Богдан Васильович, я так розумію, що немає зв'язку.
As I understand, Bogdan Vasilich lost connection. We have quorum.
Він нічого не писав, я не бачу, що він написав.
Bogdan didn't send any messages.
Тут є заява. Запросити, да, чи він? Я вже... А, дякую.
Please invite the candidate.
Шановний Ігор Олегович, рішення відповідності
Dear
кандидата-
Igor Olegovich, decision on your correspondence to the criterion of integrity unfortunately didn't get enough votes. Thank you.
До побачення. Колеги, завтра у нас
Goodbye.
засідання.
Colleagues, tomorrow we are not going to have a meeting. The next meeting is on the 2nd of July.
Сергій Олександрович,
Яровий, Яроменок
І 5-го
will be present, and on the 5th
засідання перенесено в зв'язку з відпусткою Щербай Тарас Андрійович.
we will have meeting due to the leave of Shirbai,
Кандидату Форма
and I propose the candidate Formagay,
результати
who
досліджень.
today provided the results of his analysis and COVID.
Якщо буде така в нього можливість.
If he is able to do it on the 5th of July, he can have interview online. What do you think on that?
Щодо проведення онлайн співбесіди з
What do you think on online interview with candidate with COVID?
Чи він погодиться на це?
If he agrees on that. Well, let's ask him probably.
Чи ви не заперечуєте?
Ще йому на 5 число.
Є
On the
пропозиція
5th, you mean?
співбесіду, щоб ми потім окремо не збиралися відносно.
Let's combine him on the 5th, not to have a meeting just for one candidate.
Ну, перенесемо співбесіду, так, але щодо можливості...
Let's postpone the interview, but about online participation,
Це узгоджується з нашим...
let's check the regulations
внести зміни, якщо буде необхідно.
to put changes if there is a need. Let me say, dear colleagues, in our regulations, our regulation doesn't say how we should have our interviews. Let's vote now and postpone it to the 5th of July. We will inform him that we have 2 days according to regulations.
Що 5 і 6 число для всіх тих, хто не змогли прийняти участь
For everyone who couldn't take part due to different reasons, if we will be waiting for our candidate to get well, and after that we will need to appoint it 5 days before, we will wait for the next opportunity till the end of July. That's why.
число. В цьому повідомимо його про
Let's inform him
дамо йому можливість підключитися
that he has interview on the 5th We will give him the possibility to connect, and we will have an online interview with him.
Голосують і приймають участь в засіданні в режимі онлайн. Я не бачу в цьому абсолютно ніяких перешкод.
I can see no objections on that.
Обговорення, можливо, у когось якісь інші думки.
Let's discuss this proposal. Maybe you have some other thoughts. Let's vote for that, not to postpone
Ми
it.
можемо перенести голосування на 2 липня.
We can postpone the voting on the 2nd of July,
Можливо, навіть якісь правки внесемо до порядку, для того,
and
щоб у нас,
maybe we'll put some changes into regulations.
якщо ми допустимо кандидата онлайн. Ну, є
На-
така пропозиція 2 липня розглянути це питання в Різному і проголосувати.
Let's consider that issue on the 2nd of July in miscellaneous, and after that to inform the candidate about changes that this decision can be taken, and that he will have interview on the 5th of July. I support this idea, but please remember that candidate should provide originals of the documents during interview. Probably we should take it into account somehow. In what way?
Тоді, колеги, тоді я не буду ставити на голосування, усвідомлюючи, що нам не вистачить голосів зараз.
Well, let's not vote now because we won't have enough votes. We'll have enough votes to postpone the interview on the 5th, so what are you saying? And regarding personal participation or online, let's think about it. I think that we should give we should give him a right for online participation, but do it in a way not to violate our regulations. Yesterday we postponed it without date.
Повертаючись до пропозицій, ми прийняли рішення про перенесення. У нас дійсно не визначена дата.
So we took decision about postponing, but without date. Let's postpone it to the 2nd of July to agree with him.
Крім того, сьогодні ми
And also,
почали в перерві алгоритм дій щодо виконання.
Today we were studying algorithm of actions, practical assignments, procedure, I mean.
Зараз, ми направимо зараз остаточний варіант алгоритму.
We will send you the final variant at the moment.
Запропоную до порядку денного затвердження саме.
And on the 2nd of July, I propose to approve this algorithm as one of the protocol items. On the 2nd of July, then, we will vote for the regulations. Dear colleagues, please come back. Please make your remarks. And we will take them into account if you have no objections. We support.
Дякую. Дякую. Тоді єдине, що кожного разу дуже прошу колеги, коли ви залишаєте засідання,
Dear
повідомляти.
colleagues, when you leave the meeting, please inform about it. Because yesterday, Drago, we didn't understand when you disconnect before our meeting was finished. So please inform us
Богдан Васильович, дуже шкода, що
if you leave. Bogdan, so pity that you couldn't vote for a candidate. But you know, I had some problems here.
дуже шкода, нічого.
Pity, but what to do? Thank you very much for your attention. See you next time. See you on the 2nd of July then.
Побачення.
Recording stop.